Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
Warning, the following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
Welcome to the Crime Diner. We are a Jersey podcast, and on the menu is a variety of true crime, cults, mysteries, historical hilarities, and sometimes victim stories. We do this within a Dinner with Friends theme. I'm Nidia.
I'm Dana.
I'm Cindy.
Last week, Dana told us about Marianne Cotton.
Yeah, Marianne Cotton was the first female, or the first serial killer in England that we know of.
Right.
Whether you believe she was guilty or not, or whether she killed one person or 21 people. But we told the story of her and her poisoning and her botched execution.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
Joining us this week is Anne and a nice Karen of Sugar Coated Murders podcast.
You can't be sugar-coated and be a mean Karen, right? The jury's out. Okay.
I don't think that a mean Karen would sugarcoat anything.
Oh, so true. So true.
Yes.
Can we take a vote at the end of the episode and see what we think? Or?
Yeah. Is she a mean Karen?
Please do not consult with my family.
We'd never dare.
We're going to get to their story, but first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month, under the power of the V podcast.
Cult.
Okay, so this is called a sailor sandwich, you said?
Yes.
I loved it.
It was like a salty, it had like a salty flavoring.
Yeah.
Like the meats were salty and the cheese was salty, so it had like a little edge to it with saltiness. It would remind me of like a sailor, something that a sailor would have.
Oh, from the sea. I see.
Salty sea.
I see. I love the spicy mustard, whatever, like little kick. I wouldn't really call it a kick, but you know, the little flavoring of the spicy mustard. Just, it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I feel about encased meats. You know, it was fine. But I would eat this again. Certainly pastrami. I never really even think to eat pastrami, but this is so good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad. So I really like to put sauerkraut on them when if I make them. To me, it just kicks it up, but it's not a true sailor if I put sauerkraut on it, so I'm not allowed.
Gotcha.
All right. I was wondering why there wasn't a vegetable.
We just decided, to do something different, but we really don't even normally eat this. Pastrami or knockwurst or...
It's not something that we would normally eat. So it was a special occasion.
It was a special.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
It would be so good with sauerkraut. That feels like the right move. Absolutely.
this area needs to know about
kicks
this.
it up a notch.
We're gonna open a restaurant and we're gonna steal your Virginia sandwich.
I've been asking you guys for I think 3 years now to please open a restaurant. I would totally come and eat at your diner any day. I would fly up to New Jersey just to eat at that diner.
You're just going to have to come up. My doors are open, so there you go.
Oh, did you say your drawers or your doors?
Both. Don't let her lie.
Sorry.
What would you call this dessert?
I would call this dessert a double fudge cake. But the reason why I picked it is because it's close to Valentine's Day, and it's a recipe that only makes 2 cakes, and you make them in ramekins. So if you're only a 2-person situation, or if you're one person that likes a second helping, then you don't have all this extra stuff at Valentine's Day.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's very rich. We love a little strawberry. Cindy left all of the lettuce on top. It was very rude of her, I thought.
It looked great in pictures.
I get that you eat with your eyes first. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Would I suggest a little ice cream? Sure, maybe, but
No, definitely.
Who am I to poo-poo you? It's almost, I wouldn't call it a souffle, but it's more like a lava cake. Like, it's kind of like gooey in the middle. It's delicious. It's really sweet. The drink, I finished mine.
I am not a bourbon girl.
Not a bourbon girl?
No.
I could drink that, I think.
It was very tasty, but I can't do something so sweet. Like, I can't have...
Oh, she's very finicky about her alcoholic beverages, yeah.
They can't be sweet. They just remind me of a terrible hangover.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So just to let you know, we use the Simply apple juice because it's just pressed apples and there's no extra sugar to it. That's one of the reasons that why we use it. But I agree with you. If I'm drinking bourbon on my own, I just put it over ice.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a straight bourbon girl.
Is this Simply apple or is this just regular apple juice?
This is regular apple juice that I can't even remember. I didn't get the Simply because I was like, oh, I have apple juice at the house. I'm going to use it.
Simply apple juice literally tastes like you took a bite of an apple.
Really?
It's a little sour?
It tastes like apples. Like, you know, apple juice doesn't really taste like apples.
Right.
Simply apple just tastes like a fucking apple. It's the weirdest thing.
Well,
It
it's
does.
what's apple juice is supposed to
I know,
taste
but like when you drink out, it looks like apple juice, and you go to drink it, and your brain is like, "That's an apple." It's the weirdest.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, really good. Like, because I'm not that I do or don't like apple juice. I'm not a big juice drinker. Like, I don't really drink orange juice or any juices. But like, it just tastes like an apple. It's straight. It's like Snapple apple. Like, you ever drink Snapple apple? It tastes like an apple. It's very strange.
So strange.
Yeah.
When you actually get apple juice that tastes like the
like it was a
fruit.
pressed apple. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird, you know, like
And that's
grape
what this
juice.
is. And even the juice is cloudy because it is just pressed apples.
Yeah.
So it's like a cloudier juice. It's not like apple juice is very crisp and clean, but this stuff, like, you have to shake it up because there's a sediment that forms at the bottom. That's just the apple.
Sediment.
There's like apple pulp in there.
Yeah, that might have changed the way that this drink tasted for you because it would not be so like apple juice, like sweet.
I also
It would
added
be
a
sweet.
little bit of lemon juice to this.
Yeah, you
just
used
for
to-
the sake of
This episode brought to you by the Apple Farmers Association of America.
Not yet a sponsor, but we're open to talks.
We're always open. Bunch of roasted potatoes, sort of like a hash brown situation. Fucking slamming. They were so good.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
please, and thank you.
I also used the Killa Vanilla. That is a small batch bourbon-based vanilla. And
Yes.
it is made by Sugar Coated Murders.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So they have a small business. So they actually they make that, and I ordered it some time
I was
ago.
going to say,
and
you
I
used it years ago, right?
No, I just got it last year, but
Oh, okay,
I've been
last year.
using it, like, I only use it for very particular and special recipes. So, like, I use it today because, you know, they're here. Let me use their stuff.
right.
And I used it for a strawberry shortcake that I did for my father-in-law, and he loved the cake. The best thing he's ever had. So, I think it works.
Yeah.
I think it works really well. It's a favorite.
Kudos. That's awesome.
Is that the only, like, spice that you have? I don't know if it's a spice, but do you have more than one, or is that what you guys sell?
That's the only one we have because it uses bourbon, and we love bourbon.
We have recently come across a recipe for a bourbon caramel sauce.
Oh,
Yes.
And we're thinking about trying to find a way to package that.
It is so good.
that's incredible. That sounds so
We haven't
good.
come up with that one yet because it has to be refrigerated, so I don't know how we.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
It's over. We're not doing it.
That's it. Everyone's fired.
Everyone's fired. The caramel plant has officially been closed.
Everyone loses their jobs. It's a nightmare. You guys also wrote a book. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, our book is called Click, Click, Click. And you can get it on Barnes & Noble online or Amazon, either one. I mean, we're true crime podcasters, so we do a lot of crime cases. And we come from a really small town in southeastern Virginia where there were a lot of murders. But the crazy part is we knew the murderers.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
So this is one of the cases that we covered from our small town that is about some high school kids that meet up on a Friday night, a quiet Friday night in town, in this kind of dark field between two schools, and two of them come out alive and one of them doesn't.
Uh-oh. Now, would you say you live in a sleepy village?
It's a sleepy town.
Yes.
It's I would say.
How would you describe Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
Is that a sleepy little town?
I think it's kind of quirky, sleepy. Yeah, kind of
Gotcha.
like that.
Kind of their own dialect.
Was it a regular day?
No, it was a dark. It was a
dark and
dark,
stormy.
Oh, damn it.
February.
clear, dark February night.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
Jesus, they get
But
you
the
every
crazy
time.
part is, so for 2.5 years, nobody knew what happened to this kid. Nobody. His parents thought he either ran away or was
Oh,
kidnapped.
that's tragic.
There were missing persons posters all over town. Like literally, he vanished. He went out one night, kissed his mom goodbye, and went out on a Friday night and just disappeared. And for 2.5 years, nobody knew what happened to him until there was a confession.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so sad.
So, oh my God, I must know
we
the
have to-
story.
no,
but,
you have to read the book,
I'm sorry.
read the book.
Yeah,
Don't tell us
I
anymore.
will. I'll definitely read the book. I love true crime books. Not that
Yeah.
I love that it happened, but I just like to. I'm a nosy person.
Yeah. We like to hear you.
Yeah.
It's that like
Voyeurism.
yeah, the voyeurism is such a good word.
Yeah.
Hate it, but it's
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a good word.
that's a really
That's
good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
use that one in our next book.
yeah, we'll use that one in the next one. So we actually have started a series, and this book is the first of a series. But the series is called "Say My Name" because we have come across so many stories where the victims get lost in their own murder stories, and this was a really great example of that. This kid literally was just forgotten.
Wow.
And because of who the murderers were, all the stories are told based on them and not based on the victim. And we just decided we were going to open up that can of worms and tell it the way it should have been told and honor this victim's memory and give him a permanent place in history because he deserved it. He needs a voice, and we decided to be his voice.
And it's so hard because when you research true crime, you find court documents and you've got, stories from when the murder happened, when the court case went to trial. You have all of that information, but for the victims, a lot of times the only thing you have is the obituary. So you don't have a lot of information about the victim because their life ended and everything just stopped for them. But the murderer gets all the press. They get all of the notoriety, I guess, from the murder, which is so unfortunate. And with the Say My Name series, Karen and I are trying to bring a little bit of light to the victim. We didn't know this victim personally, and we didn't have a lot to go on as far as deep diving into his life, but we want to make sure at the end of the book you say his name. So at least we know for everybody that reads this book, on the last page, they can see his name and a picture of him, and at least he's remembered that way.
Yeah.
Good, interesting.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so heavy. That's like such a heavy
And,
undertaking.
we're sugar coated, so we also add in a little bit of Southern flavor from the town that we grew up in, and all of the sisterly antics, how we got in trouble and had some unfortunate incidents with some police officers. And there's even a little story in there where we got to see Elizabeth Taylor in person at our church. So
Oh, my goodness.
We do add a little bit of humor into the book. Yeah, because it really is so heavy. We didn't want it to be so very dark.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Did you have to get the families, okay or anything on that?
You don't. Everything is now part of public record. So you don't have to get anybody's permission to do it. But we did have a conversation with the victim's brother, one of the victim's brothers.
One of his brothers.
One of the brothers of the victim. And he really, one of the reasons that we wrote this story is because he felt like the town had forgotten about his brother.
Yeah.
So he really wanted us to move forward. It was a little bit more difficult for his dad. I think he's from an older generation, and he was very worried about what we would say about the victim. Oh, and we forgot to mention, one of the murderers is very heavily involved in the telling of this story.
Very heavily.
Really?
Interesting.
One of the murderers actually reached out to us.
Oh, shit.
And gave us a lot of detail about this murder. So
We actually went and saw him. We sat down with him face to face.
In jail?
no.
He's out of jail, and he lives back in that same town.
Oh, fuck. Holy
Right? Yeah. So if for nothing else, you need to find that story in the book and read what these two old ladies did. Didn't tell our families. Who didn't tell anybody where we were going. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. I think you guys should too, because that's crazy.
It was like the Golden Girls on a 007 mission.
Oh, I love that. I want to do that with you guys. I want to solve a case.
Well, they didn't solve it.
No, I know, but I would like to solve a case Scooby-Doo style.
You want to solve a murder?
I mean, something. Scooby-Doo style, like, you know. I want to get a minivan.
We gotta get the van, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As long as Cindy's making cakes and shit for me, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, she brings the snacks.
So basically, it's a food truck.
True crime food truck.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, an idea has been born.
Yes. And it's now patent, so.
Yes.
Trademark.
Yes.
Trademark, copyright. We got it.
Patent pending. Yeah. Okay, so we have these like daily meetings at work.
Uh-huh.
I'm a teacher, right? It's a professional setting. And I told people, like, they're like, well, you know, what are you doing this afternoon? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm training my crows. So I happen to mention that I have this plan till the end of the year, and it's to train my crows. I have crows that hang out outside my classroom window and in a tree. And I want the crows to be at my beck and call.
She wants them to do her bidding.
I want them to recognize my face. Crows are very smart. And so I happen to mention this at a freaking professional setting. And now people don't respect me professionally that much anymore.
I don't.
You know what? They're going to respect you when you have those crows carrying your books in every day, aren't they?
Or when they're hovering 1 foot above your head. Yes. 30 of them as you walk to your car every day.
They better respect me. They better respect me then, definitely. So I've been training them with little shiny pieces of paper clips and like...
Are they coming up to it and everything?
Yes. And yeah. I've been leaving them food, apples, things like that.
Birdseed, things like this?
Well, no, I'm not on the bird seeds yet.
Okay.
But I probably should get bird seeds. But I've been giving them actual food.
Yeah, they like it?
Yeah.
Are they eating it?
They're eating it.
Oh,
They're
shit.
eating it. They're eating right out of my hand, you could say.
Like, actually?
No.
Not yet?
No, not yet.
They're gonna.
They're gonna. I'm telling you.
You should get a framed picture
wait.
of Cindy and I and put them out there so that the birds will recognize us as well.
Yes, yeah. And it'll be like a whole bird gang.
This all came about from a Patreon episode that we just recorded and posted.
Oh, is that on Patreon?
That's on Patreon. Okay. So there's like, if you want to know more, that's basically where you would find out where Nydia got the idea to train
the realization
crows.
that we can train these crows.
Train crows, people. Train crows.
So I would like to talk to you about professional settings as well.
Okay.
You know, I've been off work for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And tragically, that has ended. And I have to go back to work. So today was my first day back to work. But earlier this week, I had to go to orientations. Now, I've been at this job for over a decade, 13 years.
Oh, wow.
I've been to the orientation at least 10 times. They do it every year. And the company I work for is a hotel, essentially, and it's a bunch of hotels. But when I started working there, it was like maybe 5 hotels. Now there's like 10 of them, and they're really moving towards becoming more of a corporation, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Which, that's great. This is great news. This is good for business. That's great. You know, it kills my
socialist soul.
Yeah, my like anarchy soul. Like it just it just kills me a smidge in my deep, deep heart. But whatever, you know, I live in a capitalist society. I have to pay my bills. Right. So here we go. And so I go to this meeting. You can start clocking in at 9, but the thing starts till 10. So I walked in at 9:59 like a normal person. And they did this whole thing, and there was a DJ, and it was like there was yes, but
DJ?
There was 350 people there. They were like just like.
But did they have
like? Did you ever see the movie Role Models
Yes.
Okay, you know when he's like a Red Bull like salesman sort of? It was like that. Like people were on stage being like, hoo, hoo, hoo. Like it was crazy.
But did they have a Lady Gaga with a person throwing up on their tits?
No. The first speaker...
That's how you know. That's how you know you're at an event.
The first speaker was wearing a chicken costume.
Uh-huh.
And proceeded to do their entire speech dressed as a chicken, and his assistant was dressed as an egg, because they're from the farm, and then literally nothing they talked about was about chickens or eggs or farms. It was about like being a good employee, essentially. It was very crazy. I was like, a grown-up thought this morning when you woke up to get in a chicken costume and then speak to an audience. Like, it was and that was not the craziest thing that happened. But most of it was funny. A lot of it was in my opinion, some of it was tone deaf, but like also that I am coming from a very like lefty side. So like whatever. It's a business, whatever. It's fine. That being said, they're really pushing this whole like you have to dress a certain way and act a certain way and blah blah blah.
Professional appearance.
Professional, yeah, which I totally understand.
Right.
That being said, I have half of my head is shaved. I have piercings. Everyone's got tattoos, but like we still, like, have some decorum. You know what I mean? So the next day, we are having the meeting at the spa, where my boss, who listens to this podcast, hello, I know you're listening.
I love you.
Yes.
Let's be best friends.
She also loves Nydia. She, like, if you, like, we're going to assign yourself as a character from the show, my boss is a Nydia. 100%.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
She's awesome, then.
Yeah. So she's like, and she's cool. She's so chill, for the most part.
Yeah, because she's my best friend.
Yeah, right. But she's got a job to do, and I totally understand that. It's not her fault I'm the coolest person in the spa. What do you want me to do? So
I agree.
She wants you to change. It's really clear what she wants you to do.
So she's like, I've been sort of laxed over the years about, tattoos and the way you guys dress, just these are the pants you gotta wear, you have to wear black shoes, you can't, no yoga pants, no stretch pants, like whatever. And like all of that's fine. And she's like, and you're supposed to wear your hair like super neat, like, and that day I was in the orientation, I was in like not sweatpants, but like joggers, like a shirt, like a button down, like a t-shirt. And my hair was like literally, I hadn't washed it in like 7 or 8 days. Like it was just in a messy, dirty bun, And
so you were professional dressed.
Yeah, but it was orientation, and I asked the day before. I'm like, we don't have to wear our uniforms or anything. She's like, no, and she's like, not to like call anyone out, and then looks dead at me, and she's like, but like your hair is your messy bun's cute. Like I think it's cute, but like you're gonna have to like tuck that in. And I'm like, let me tell you something about my messy bun.
Tuck it in.
So this is what it looked like today. This is like I kind of like tried to, because it's usually a pretty wild.
Yeah.
But like my hair is pretty curly, and I've been trying to like cultivate the curl. It's a vibe I'm working with, you know what I mean? And so it's like sort of tucked back, but I'm like, this bitch called me out in front of everybody. The whole spa was like,
I mean, I think she should have just asked you to use some dry shampoo and go.
I don't think it was the dirtiness that it was. It wasn't
the dirty.
It was just my bun was like everywhere. Like it was just I don't wash it a lot because I'm trying to like get this curl going, and the more I wash it, the more like flat it gets. So it's like it's a bummer. So I get it. Like I got to tighten it up a little.
So
bit.
it wasn't the flyaways; it was the actual flies.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question? Can we get back to the chicken and the egg?
Yeah.
Was there a subliminal message there that he laid his assistant?
Oh my God! Scandalo!
I'm just asking because you said nothing in their presentation.
It made no sense. Yeah, it was very strange.
The chicken or the egg. So I'm like, was there a subliminal message that he laid her?
Oh my God, the way I am spreading that rumor Monday morning, you have no idea. The way that rumor will be hot goss by Friday.
I will say in New Jersey, in this area of New Jersey, some meetings that should be professional are not always as professional as they should be.
Yeah.
We had the mayor of a major city in this area dress up fully for his what do you call it,
inauguration.
And it wasn't even the state of, kind of like the State of the Union, but the state of the city. a dress that he does each year. He dressed up as a full-on robot, came out like lit up and moving like a robot, and they had like Let's Go the Champ or something like that in the background. Like he's like dressed up as this robot. He's they're doing this big old thing and all of this. It was just like, wow, that's interesting.
No, New Jersey's wild, bro. We're just out here.
Did they send him to rehab the next day?
No.
Wow.
No, not even a little bit. Yeah, so I'm raising crows.
I love that. I'm so excited to meet these crows.
They're gonna be
I am so excited. Can you please name them Karen and Ann?
She's got plenty of them. I'm sure she can name a couple. Karen and
we
Ann.
have been kicking around the idea of getting chickens.
Yeah,
because eggs are so expensive.
Yes.
And my friend has a space for it, and so we really have been we've been sending back and forth chicken coops and like how this is going to work. And Nydia had some pretty good names for the chickens, so we can add. We certainly can add Karen and Ann to the list.
A good name for a chicken is fricassee, patty, nugget.
I love it.
Yeah, those are really good names.
Yeah, we have a running list, I think, at this point.
That's right. The chickens are going to be a thing.
Yeah, I think the chicken should be a thing. Obviously.
Listen, you're going to be egg rich. And that is a certain wealth in this country that is
honestly
top-notch.
not that I can't afford eggs, but I choose not to really I was eating eggs every morning. I make myself breakfast in the morning, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to buy eggs like that because it's very crazy.
Insane.
So I made a cake last week and I didn't have enough eggs. I had 3 eggs, but I needed 4. And I used unsweetened applesauce and it was fucking killer.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was killer. So
take that, egg industry.
That's right.
That's right. Now I will tell you, it does not work on cookies.
Or on omelets.
My cookie was flat as a big flat crispy pancake. It still tasted good, but it wasn't really a cookie,
We are going to talk about the Murdaugh murder case that is on trial right now here in South Kakalaki.
Oh shit!
Ooh.
You know this story?
Yes, I know this story.
We've been tentatively following this.
Yes.
Not. I certainly haven't been deep dived into it, but tentatively.
So many theories.
Yes,
so many.
yeah.
So we live stream it every day from start to finish.
Oh shit!
Wow.
It is going on in the background while I work. There's a separate laptop next to me so I can hear everything that's going on at every minute of the day.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Soap opera I have ever watched in my life.
I think it's better than any courtroom drama show I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's just been unbelievable.
So a few things that your listeners may need to just write down or try to follow through. The gentleman involved in this case, his name is Alec. It is spelled Alex. Most of us in the country pronounce it Alex. But from where he lives in that area, they call him Alec. So if we say Alex, it's because we know how to pronounce the freaking name. So they say their last name is Murdaugh. It's Murdauh.
They call him Murdaugh.
Murdaugh.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They say Murdoch. They say Murdoch. They say Murdaugh. It's.
I think that when you get to a point in your life that you are so rich that you can make up your own phonics, you've really made it.
And then a lot of people get confused about what SLED is. SLED, S-L-E-D, is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division.
Okay.
So
It's the
police.
Okay. All right.
Right? It's not some special unit.
No.
It's just the freaking police. But we got to have a fancy name and an acronym, so we call them SLED.
Okay.
So if you know that little bit of information, Oh, and then if you know that people in the South name their cars, and they give
guns.
and they name their guns, and then a lot of people have nicknames. Like, so if you can accept all of these things, then you'll be able to follow along a little bit better.
Okay. All right.
With my ADHD, I just realized that their name is Murdaugh.
Murdaugh. Yes.
Wow.
Very fitting. Very fitting.
Way back in 2019, we didn't know who the heck these people were. We had no idea. But we live in a different part of the state than these people. These people live ever close to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we're Charleston area. So, but I guess if you lived in that area, you knew who these people were. But they have the Murdaughs have a very long line of family that's been involved in the court system. So back in 2019, nobody had ever heard of these people. And then all of a sudden we started hearing news stories about a terrible boat crash where a young 19-year-old kid and a bunch of his friends had been out on one of the creeks. We live around a lot of water here in South Carolina. And they had been out on the creek. A lot of them had been drinking a lot, and they wrecked their boat. And when the boat wrecked, a couple of them were very severely hurt, and one girl was thrown overboard, and they searched for her body for 8 days, and they finally found her. The fellow that was driving the boat was highly intoxicated, and he was the son of this very prestigious attorney, Alex Murdaugh. When the boat crash happened, SLED was called out to do an investigation to find out what happened. They, at this point, had not found the girl's body. Her name is Mallory Beach, 19 years old. Her boyfriend had been in the boat. Several of her friends were in the boat. And then Alex, his son, Paul, was the driver of the boat. And it was Alex's boat that was crashed. At the scene of the crash, and this is a very small community, so when it happened, somebody called Mallory's parents and told them what happened, and they rushed to the scene of where this had happened. Also called were Paul's father, Alex, and his grandfather, Randolph, but he went by Buster, also an attorney, and had been one of these court officials, appointed court official.
One of the guys whose picture hangs in the courthouse.
Right.
Okay.
So I would say he's king of the court.
Right. So he's the king of the court. That's right. So when Mallory Beach's parents get to the crime scene or the accident scene, they have to stand behind the yellow tape. They cannot go. And as they're standing there wondering what has happened to their daughter, Alex Murdaugh, his wife Maggie, and Alex's father Randolph go under the police tape and go to talk to their son, who was the driver of the boat. And it was very disturbing and very upsetting to this family.
Yeah, I bet.
This boat crash was horrible. He ran into one of the pilings under the bridge.
Oh, shit.
And, I mean, it destroyed that boat. And the kids that were injured, one of the kids had a broken jaw.
Oh, my God.
I mean, and one girl had a serious injury to her hand. And, of course, Mallory was ejected from the boat.
Right.
And they couldn't find her.
It was night. It was nighttime when this happened. They had been out at an oyster roast, which is what people do around here all the time. They love to go to oyster roasts. And they had been to a bar and had some drinks. And earlier in the day, they had gone to a convenience store. They have them. They're locally owned here, called Parker's. And Paul used his brother Buster's ID to buy alcohol. Well, a huge investigation went in because Paul kept saying he didn't drive. He wasn't the driver of the boat. Now, Paul is wasted. They have the SLED body camera video that has circulated since this crime has happened. And his father and his grandfather both approached some of the victims of the boat crash at the scene to say Paul wasn't driving, right? It wasn't Paul driving. Right. He even told one of them, if we say it's you, I can get more insurance money for everybody.
Oh, shit.
If you say you were driving. He even went to the hospital to try and keep the victims in this accident from talking to police and telling them exactly what happened. So that was in 2019. And it was a really, really big deal. It was talked about a lot. It was in the media constantly because they're this very affluent family from Hampton County. It just was, there was a lot of press about it. And a lot of times when you have an accident like this, attorneys will tell the family to file a civil suit against people who they feel are responsible for the accident. So a civil suit was filed against Parker's for selling to underage Paul. A civil suit was filed against Paul, and a civil suit was filed against Alex as the owner of the boat.
And there's a bar where the kids are seen going into the bar and taking shots at the bar and then walking out and getting into the boat.
Okay.
So the bar was also named in the suit.
Right. So it was a big deal. I mean, this family was under a lot of pressure. Well, when you get sued for a civil suit, it helps a criminal suit because in a civil suit, you have to give all this information, all this documentation. And it's a way for the criminal suit to get the information they need to actually be in front of a grand jury and say, yeah, we can do this on a criminal federal charge. Mm-hmm. As time moves on with the civil suits, they decide they need to get information from Alex's financial statements. And he's in a panic. He's got to open up the books. Now, they have several homes.
They live an incredible lifestyle. We're seeing very much the lifestyle that they led, something that I can't relate to. I can't even fathom.
Right.
Because they had multiple homes. They had at least three.
They had boats. They all had nice cars. Lots of property. And so the media is really, as things start to heat up and spice up, things are really going in the media about who's responsible. And Parker's had big falutin attorneys, and they managed to say, we don't have any responsibility. This guy came in, shame on whoever. All we do is check an ID. We don't compare names or anything, so we have no accountability.
And they were really nasty about the suit, too, because Mallory Beach's mom or parents were suing them. And they pretty much came out at one point and said, and this is not a direct quote, but they kind of said something like, she should have picked better friends.
Oh. It was so tacky.
So callous, the way that they responded to their suit. There was absolutely no compassion for this family who had lost their 19-year-old daughter in a horrible accident.
And the family wasn't looking to get rich. They were not. They weren't looking to get rich. They just wanted somebody to be accountable for the death of their daughter.
I think, too, especially in these cases with rich people that you can foresee that they're going to get off.
Yeah.
That is the way that you hit them in their wallet. You sue them civilly. You sue everybody involved. This is par for the course. This is the American justice system, like O.J. Simpson or whatever. Like when these big rich people get off of these murders, that's what happens.
It's also like a way to prove that they were guilty.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the only guilty verdict that Simpson got was during the civil trial.
The civil suit, right.
And other things came out during the civil trial that made him, in the public eye, seem more guilty.
Right.
Yeah, if only that civil suit had happened before the criminal suit, it might have been a different verdict at the end.
Right.
But I can tell you that Mallory Beach's parents, like Ann said, they weren't trying to get rich. They were trying to have somebody be responsible, but they also were really hurt about the way they were treated at the scene versus the way Paul's parents were treated at the scene. Completely different. I mean, the SLED agents just lifted the tape and escorted these three people when this woman's on the shore looking for her daughter.
Right.
And they want to go talk to their inebriated son to make sure he doesn't talk to SLED. But SLED is there and they're ushering him up. It's just...
By the way, the son was so drunk, he had taken all of his clothes off at this point. He was just walking around naked.
Wow.
And he was looking for his phone that he had put down in the grass, and he was walking around cussing, trying to find his phone with no regard to the fact that one of his friends has gone overboard, and she is somewhere fighting for her life, and we can't find her.
And he has a friend that's got a broken jaw. It's obviously messed up. And another girl who had a really badly messed up, mangled hand. There was blood everywhere. I mean, this kid had no regard for anything.
Except for himself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And one of the kids was in the back of the cop car because he got put in the cop car because it was his girlfriend that was overboard. So I don't know why they felt like he needed to be in the cop car and not the driver of the boat, but they did. And he even said to the officer that was talking to him, "Do you see that kid right there?" And the driver of the boat, and he said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know who he is?" And he said, "No, I'm not sure that I know him." And he said, "That's Paul Murdaugh. His dad is Alec. Good luck."
Wow.
So that kid already knew that his friend Paul was untouchable.
Yep.
Yeah.
So things really start heating up around here, and about the end of May, toward the early part of June, they've got a trial date. It's coming, and we're all really kind of anxious to find out, what they're going to find when they open up these books. Everybody's saying they're going to be hiding assets, all this other. There's just all kinds of rumors going around. So we were very interested in seeing what was going to happen. And I think we all really wanted there to be justice for this poor family who had been put through the ringer and lost their daughter. And that's when this story starts.
Yeah, this is where it starts. As they're doing discovery for this suit, the attorney has asked Alex, and Alex is in a big law firm, huge, prominent law firm in this town, and he's one of the partners. And so one of the partners is representing him. And this attorney for the victim goes to that attorney. I mean, it's a small town, so they all know each other. And he said, "I need to see Alex's financials. I need to see the financials on him." And the guy said, "Alex is broke. He has no money." And this guy's like, okay, they've got 3 properties. They've got a kid in law school. They've got a hunting lodge. These people live a very high lifestyle, and a practicing attorney that did personal injury and wrongful death suits.
And was a partner in his law firm. He was the highest earning partner in the law firm. So he was making plenty of money.
And this guy was like, "I don't believe you." So they go back and forth. And so he ends up having to go to a judge to issue, what he puts in for is he wants a judge to issue an order to compel.
Yes.
And what that means is when you say, "I'm not going to do it," then the judge says you have to do it, then you have to do it. So he was trying to avoid that, but that was the only reason he could do it. So as they're doing this, what's also happening in the background that we don't know about is the head accountant of this law firm has seen some discrepancies and some things. And so there's been some attorney fees that have not gone where they were supposed to. There's some trusts for victims that were supposed to be set up and structured that weren't. So all this money that's been supposedly given to these victims, the victims don't have it, the attorneys don't have it, the practice doesn't have it, and they're like, "Where is this?" So then they go to the structuring company that does the structures, and their company is called Forge. So Forge doesn't have it because they said, "Well, we gave it to Alec," and Alec said he would take care of it. So as they're doing this, literally this forensic financial investigation, they are finding out that Alec Murdaugh has been stealing money from his victims and the partners in that law firm, hand over fist, and I'm telling you, thousands, hundreds of thousands, into the millions.
So in his type of practice, they would file lawsuits against big manufacturers, like people that manufactured tires. One of the victims had been in a terrible car accident with her mother and I believe brother. And they found out that it was a bad tire on the car. So they went after the tire manufacturer and they settled for millions of dollars.
This girl lost her mom and her brother in that accident.
And she was a teenager.
So she was looking to try to survive, and they settled for millions, and she didn't get, and it was put into a conservatorship because she was a minor, and she didn't get a penny.
Well, she would call Alex and say, I need to get books for school. And he would give her enough money to get books for school.
Yeah.
And so every little cost or expense she needed, even down to tampons, she had to call and ask for money from him because she didn't have any.
Wow.
Most accounts, you would just get like a yearly allowance kind of thing, like a big lump allowance, and then you would have that to live off of, but you would also be very comfortable. You don't normally have to go and ask for little things like, I got to go to the grocery store this week. It's not normal, but she didn't know. She had no idea.
Yeah, and there was another lawsuit where they had a housekeeper years before this who had fallen at their house, and she had suffered a head injury, and she had lived for 3 weeks in the hospital, and she died. And she had 2 young sons, one of which is a vulnerable adult. I was trying to say involuntary, and I'm like, that's not the word. Involuntary. No, that's me. So her boys, I mean, she worked for this family for years upon years. She helped raise those kids, and supposedly she tripped on the dogs and had a head injury. Okay. And then she died. And so Alex went to the boys and said, hey, I'm going to try to get you all some money. And he said, if you sue my insurance company, I think I can get you about $100,000 each. And of course, to these young boys, that seems like a huge amount of money. They've just lost their mom. They're pretty much orphaned.
Well, and they're also very poor. The families did not have money at all.
No, a lot of times they lived in hotels because they couldn't, which I think is sad. This family she's working for owns all these properties, and she is like scraping money together every day, and half the time has to live in a hotel because she can't pay her rent. Like it's just sad. So the older boy, or he's the youngest son, but he's the one that's not the vulnerable son. He now is texting with Alex like every couple of months, every 3 or 4, maybe 6 months. How's the lawsuit going? And he's like, well, it's a really big, complicated case. And so it kind of drags on for a while. But then he hears on the news about how this case had settled for millions of dollars.
The case about his mother?
Yes. But that was after.
Shit.
Right. This is after the big event, but just to tell you what this man was doing. So these kids had not gotten one single penny.
Not a penny.
But Alec Murdaugh had 2 settlements, one for $750,000 or somewhere around there, and then one was for $4 million.
It was a lot of money.
$4.5 million, I think, was the total amount that it settled for.
And never told the boys that they won, that he got this settlement.
Nothing. They had no money, and he had taken all of it.
It's so crazy, too, because, like, he could have given them each $100,000 and kept all the rest of the money. Not that that's the right thing to do.
No, right, yeah.
But, like, and not been a total dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could have given the girl some money of the money you stole from her.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't the Native Americans call it Wetiko? When you can't have, like, that insatiable, like, you have an insatiable need to get more and more and more.
I don't know. I never heard of that, but that's very crazy. Like, it's baffling.
It is baffling.
Now, we're at a point in June where nobody knows yet that he's stealing, but they're suspecting it. And now he's got to open his books up and...
Yeah, so one of the accountants at the law firm actually confronted him on June 7th, 2021.
Yeah.
About a $750,000 fee that was supposed to have come into the practice that he said that was still at the trust agency. And when they called the trust agent said, it's with Alec. He told me he would take care of everything. And in the meantime, one of his paralegals or legal assistants went into his office and found a check for $750,000 that he had deposited mobily already.
Oh, shit.
So this is brewing. And this lady goes and talks to him about this situation. That very night, Maggie and Paul are both murdered on their property.
Paul is the son who was driving the
Was
boat.
in the boat
Yeah.
accident.
Okay.
And Maggie is the wife.
Maggie is
Right.
his wife.
And at the beginning of this trial that we're in right now, the description of what they went through when they were murdered is horrific. Like,
It's gruesome. I will say that Paul's brain was no longer in his body.
Oh my God.
not just there was brain matter, spattered brain, but the brain was down on the ground.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What did he shoot him with?
Blew his head off.
Literally. I didn't even know that could happen, but yes, it can.
It did. So,
And then Maggie was shot in the back. She was running and she was shot and fell. And then whoever shot her came up and shot her again and had to kill her.
Wow.
It was a terrible, terrible, terrible scene.
it was terrible. But what this does is, it stops this Mallory Beach case cold, because they're not going to haul this man into court 2 days after his wife and son have been murdered. And there's no longer a criminal case because the criminal is dead. Paul, the criminal case was against Paul, and now he's dead, so there's no criminal case. Now the civil case takes a huge turn. I mean, everything comes to a screeching halt while they deal with the murder of these two people. So that's what this trial is. It is Alec Murdaugh is on trial for killing his wife and son on their property on June 7th, 2021.
Well,
And-
can I just say that when it first happened and they were like, oh, who could have killed him? Who could have killed him? I was like, it's clearly the dad killing the son for causing all this shit. And, to create a diversion.
Yeah, but it also closed the books.
Right.
They don't
It
have to look
closes
into
the
his
books.
book.
Exactly.
But there also have been rumors, and they're just rumors, that Maggie and Alec were separating, and that Maggie was wanted a forensic accountant to come in and take property values of what they had. But that is a rumor, and it really has not come up in court very much. I mean, they really haven't talked about it, but that rumor was flying around. And then the other thing is, so people here felt like that he had killed Maggie and that Paul stumbled upon it for whatever reason and got caught up in it. Now, listening to the trial, my opinion, and it is purely my unprofessional, unsolicited, uneducated opinion, I think he set it up to kill both of them from the very beginning.
I'm with you, sister. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's all circumstantial. There's so much that the jury is not allowed to hear. There are just so many laws about what you can present in court. It drives me crazy because I think that if you're going to be on a panel of people making a decision about whether or not somebody has taken somebody's life, they need the full picture of what we're talking about here. They need the full picture.
So, of course, the defense did not want any of his, what they called financial indiscretions, revealed in this court. They didn't want it to be able to be presented in court. So for 3 days, we listened to all the financial stuff with the jury not there, so that the judge could rule whether or not it was admissible. And then he said it is admissible, so now we're hearing the jury hear it again. But we're live streaming this, so we get to see when something happens in court and he sends the jury out, it's live streamed. They don't cut the stream. So we get to see all the things that are happening in court behind the scenes, which to me is absolutely fascinating, because twice now the defense has asked for a mistrial.
And the son, the other son that's living, his name is Buster, and Alex's brother, John Marvin, are sitting behind the defense. And in the beginning, they were like really up close. And then Karen and I noticed they were moved to the back, and we wondered, why are they sitting so far back?
I thought they got there late and somebody took their seats.
It turned out that during the part of the financial without the jury, when the attorney for Mallory Beach was on the stand, they were laughing and shooting him the bird.
They were flipping him off.
So the judge reprimanded them and moved them back.
Oh
and
my
said,
God.
if you continue this behavior, you're out.
I mean, talk about the nerve of people.
Can you imagine?
No. Didn't that older son, there was something with him and a murder, possible,
Yes.
potential something, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So through all of this, they have exhumed the housekeeper's body because we're not real sure if she really was, if there was a trip involved. There were no witnesses except for the Murdaugh family. So we're not sure, what happened there. And then, we're finding out that the morning after the murder, Alec got in touch with I want to call her, she's not just a housekeeper. I would say she's a house manager.
That's what I would categorize her as a manager.
Because she did everything and she actually oversaw the help that was helping there too. That, I'm just going to tell you that it drives me insane because Maggie referred to them as the Mexicans, which absolutely, every time I hear it, I'm just like, are you kidding? Like, people actually, in this day and time, you're using that kind of terminology. Are you dumb? But whatever. So, she is dead, so I'm not supposed to say things, but the house manager said it doesn't bother her.
She said it doesn't bother her, but it bothers me.
It bothers the hell out of me every time it comes up. But so he got in touch with her and, told her that Maggie and Paul were dead and that asked her if she could go out to the property. He said, there are a lot of people that are going to be dropping by to bring food and stuff. Can you just go in and clean the house for me so that, the way Maggie liked it. So you go in there and get everything cleaned up. So this woman goes in. She knows that they were shot and murdered, but she has no idea. She's never been involved with the murder. So he tells her how to go into the property through an entrance that's not where the bodies were. So all of the SLED agents were down at the kennels, which is where the bodies were. So she goes up to the house in a different way and circumvents all of the police. They don't know she's up there. She's the first one to go into that house after these murders. It's dark, and she goes in and starts picking up laundry that's laying around, picking up towels that's laying around, cleans the shower. She's cleaning up because she's tidying up. Well, all of this evidence, SLED had not been in there to even go through the house at all. So she goes in there, and not only that, but here's the affluence of his family. By the time SLED gets around to coming onto the property to go and search this house, there are so many people in that house already. Attorneys, family, friends of family, everybody standing around while the SLED agents are searching the house.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I don't know, this deputy dog woman, I don't even know what her problem is, but she literally, I think she just went in and just looked in the closet, opened the closet and said, no boogeyman, and closed it and said, yep, we're clean.
It was the furthest thing from their mind that he's the one that did it. It wasn't until the whole picture came out, right, of all the financial crimes and everything that he had been doing in the background, that the SLED agent said, wait a minute, maybe we need to look at this guy. Now, in the midst of all of this craziness, the beach trial is now on hold. Maggie and Paul have been murdered. The crimes are starting to come out. And then all of a sudden there's this breaking news report that somebody has shot Alex. Yeah. And he's being flown to a hospital in Savannah, Georgia. And we're all like, oh my God, what is happening? What is happening?
Yeah, so at this point I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a hit.
Yeah, they're executing this whole family.
They're taking the whole family out. I'm like, where's Buster? Is Buster taking out his family or is somebody protecting him? We were like, what's happening? And this whole debacle on the side of the road, Alex says that he stopped on the side of the road to change a tire. Now, he's very wealthy, and the tires that he has are those no puncture tires where you can drive and they don't go flat. But he didn't think about that. So he says that he got a flat tire on the way to Savannah, and he's pulled over on the side of this rural road to change his tire, and some truck came by and shot him. But then we find out he was actually wanting to commit suicide, supposedly because he wanted Buster to get all the life insurance to be taken care of. But we also find out that Paul nor Maggie had life insurance on them. So why would Alec have life insurance on himself if there's no life insurance? Okay. They found out there's no life insurance. No. So that whole, I wanted Buster to get all the money and be taken care of. So, but what he did was, there's this man in their family named Cousin Eddie. Cousin Eddie does not live the way they live.
No.
I don't know what happened with cousin.
From where, right?
I don't know where this cousin came from, but he's like, I think he might have lived in the smokehouse. I don't know. Cousin Eddie, like if you see pictures of him, his hair is his hair is exactly what your boss does not want people to look like. It's crazy. So he was supposedly had paid Cousin Eddie $40,000 to come and shoot him, so that it would because he didn't have the nerve to shoot himself.
Yeah.
Cousin Eddie never got paid, so he's a little bit pissed off right now.
Oh,
and he's in protective custody.
Wow.
So we're waiting to see if Cousin Eddie is going to hit. So what we find out is that Alec was not life flighted to Savannah. He actually chartered a private helicopter to come and take him to the hospital.
Oh,
It was not life threatening at all. He had a small graze on the back of his head.
Like a scratch.
Like, I'm telling you, Cousin Eddie is a horrible shot.
Not even a stick.
I don't know what Cousin Eddie was shooting at, but he did not hit the mark. This is probably why he didn't get paid.
Well, Cousin Eddie said he didn't, that they struggled with the gun. He wouldn't do it, and Alex tried to get the gun from him.
That's true. And then the gun went off.
It went off, and for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
People passed me in on the side of the highway and would not stop for him because they said he looked out of sorts.
Yes. So when Alec goes to the trauma center with non-life-threatening injuries, he actually checked himself into rehab and claims to have had years and years and years of opioid addiction. And now he's got to be in rehab. Well, let me tell you what happens when you're in rehab. Ain't nobody going to put you in court if you're in rehab. So he was in rehab for 60 days?
I think, yeah. 60, in the meantime, he has hired this highfalutin attorney who happens to be one of our state senators.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Dick Harpootlian, and we like to call him Dopey Dick.
In the afternoon.
Dick is, I mean, those eyes are like little buttonholes. I mean, they're just like this. He's got his arms up like this, and he's got red in the face. Like he's carving out, I think, at lunch, and then he cannot stay awake in the afternoons. No. So
the state senator gets involved in a local law case. It doesn't make any sense, y'all. It does not make any sense.
It does if your campaign was paid for by the Murdaugh family.
I guess so.
That's right. It is. So down here in South Kakalaki, we are waving our crazy flags for all the world to see because this has been crazy.
I'm telling you, I record General Hospital. I haven't watched it in like 5 days because I don't need the drama.
No.
I'm getting all the drama from 9:30 until 5:30, Monday through Friday.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. So today, the attorney for Mallory Beach was on the stand in front of the jury. So the first time he was on, we were listening to everything to see if the judge was going to allow it. So now he's actually there in front of the jury. And then they go to recess. And after recess, so every single day, there's like the family sits in the middle of the pew. It's John Marvin, and then next to him is his nephew Buster, who's the surviving son. And then next to Buster is Alec's sister. I think her name is Lynn.
Lynn or Liz or something.
Something. We don't know. We don't really know. And we don't really care. But they sit in the same spots every day, right? Well, today after recess, they kind of switched it up a little bit. And John Marvin was sitting on the end on the aisle. And we were like, why is John Marvin over there? Because we are looking like, guys, we are watching them like hawks. So we find out that there's a kid, he's not a kid. He's a man, but to me, he looks like a kid. He comes on. He was really, really good friends with Paul, the victim. But he is now a SLED agent himself, or he's a cop in this little town, Walterboro. So he's a police officer, but he worked at Alec's law firm as a runner But then when the financial stuff started happening, he was recruited by the accountant to help try to find some financial indiscretions. And so he kind of had a front row seat to what Alec was doing at the law firm.
Listen, Alex would send his boy to the bank with a check for cash and have him cash checks at the bank and bring cash. Who has that kind of money that you can send somebody to go cash a check for you at the bank? Hello.
That's what Maggie did with Blanca.
I know.
They're so busy being rich they can't even go get their own money out of the bank.
That's
So
crazy.
they just send them with a check, and I guess the bank knows them well enough that they just are like, oh yeah, it's the Murdaughs. We'll just send them your here's $100,000 in an envelope. Take it back to Alex.
Lord.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the lifestyle of this family is just. It really upset me today when the house manager said that what would normally happen is a lot of times she would cook dinner before she left, and she would leave it on the stove. They would eat dinner, and they would just leave the pots on the stove full of whatever they had not eaten. So what we would term as leftovers. And it would just stay there overnight until she came back to deal with the dishes the next day. They didn't even put their leftovers in the fridge. They just threw it out. Like, who does that?
Man.
Yeah, well, they're moving on a level of money that just is not real.
It's-
You know, like
everything's
the thought to
disposable.
even eat your leftover, like, you know, me, I'm like, I make a meal and I'm like, and tomorrow? You know, and lunch for work tomorrow, you know?
Yeah. And so when she felt like the day that she went into the house right after the murders, the pots were not still on the stove. And it kind of freaked her out a little bit because it had never happened. And somebody had put lids on the pots and put them in the refrigerator, which never happens. Also, she said that the plates would normally be just left in the living room wherever they ate. They would just leave their plates, their dirty plates, and then she would come in the next day and get them. This day, the plates were all in the sink and rinsed.
That's weird.
So
You can't even lift your plate from the living room to the kitchen.
I will tell you that one time in my life, I worked for this guy who owned some media stations. Like he owned a radio station
right,
and some
he did.
multimedia companies. It's right when the internet started. That's how old I am. I am truly a dinosaur.
She's so old.
I used to do like office management for him, and then I did like graphic design for his logos for these media companies that he had like 16,000 of them. And they were very wealthy. They lived on the side of a cliff in Maryland, and behind like these gates. I had the code to get in the gate and everything. Their house was over $1 million. They had a pool inside their house, a heated pool
That's what
inside
Cindy
their
wants.
house.
That's my goal.
Well, you really don't, because they had water bugs like this big that were living in the house too because of the water. It was awful. But
Yeah.
they had a staff that, you know, was there 5 days a week. And on Monday mornings, I hated going into work on Monday mornings because all of the dishes from all weekend long of half-eaten food, they were just everywhere. They never put their plate. They never took their plates in the kitchen. I can tell you that there are people that live like this.
It's ridiculous.
And it drives
Now,
me
let me
insane.
tell you something.
Okay.
Let me just tell you something. Okay.
Are we gonna look at Nydia?
No. Yeah. Number one, Nydia's never put a dish away in her life. But for this podcast, at least. But if I had all of that kind of money, I also would not put any dishes away. But I would pay them wonderfully. Like, whoever was doing this for me, like, what do you want? Like, what? Tell me your price, and I'm never doing another dish. I'm never picking it up. Where truly, I would be that asshole that'd be like, "Thank you so much." I would be so polite about it. I'm gonna leave this here, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you in 6 hours for meal number 3.
You would eat a steak dinner. You would never eat a steak dinner on a Friday night and leave that plate sitting in the living room until Monday morning.
No. They're gonna have to come back Saturday morning. Whatever. Like, so this is a 7-day-a-week situation. I'm never touching another dish. Never, not one time. Bring it to me and take it away from me. I will pay you so much money. Like, I'll pay you every bit of money that you want, whatever is like lifestyle you deem fit, to bring me my plate and to take it away. 100%. I'm on board for that.
Does that mean that you would refer to them as the Mexicans?
Never. What do you want me to call you? Do you want a special name? Princess? Queen of Arabia? I don't care. Whatever you want me to call you.
Mother
Sunshine. I'm like, what do you want to wear? You want a messy bun? I don't care. You don't have to, just do whatever you want. If the food is good and I don't have to clean it, I'll pay any amount of money for that. Truly.
And I really like your honesty. But I'm telling you, it really pisses me off that these people live like that.
Because you know that they're treating them like dog shit. They're not paying. You're saying that they're not even able to make their rent, that they're living in motels and stuff. Like, this is not what I'm talking about. Like, I mean, I would be an asshole about it, but I would be so nice to you. I'd be like, whatever you need and want, like, I don't care. And whatever it takes. But if I don't ever have to cook another meal or clean up after it, I'm here for it.
And I agree with you. And I will tell you that this house manager, I think they probably paid her handsomely, but she knows so much about this family. She knows. Oh, yeah. She knows that Maggie did not wear underwear under her pajamas. I mean, and I don't either.
That's a detail.
I mean, you got to air stuff out. You just do whatever. But, intimate details about this family. Like, she knew exactly. She was describing on the stand today what drawers had what clothes of Alex in. Like, where were his weekend shorts? Where were his nice dressy shorts? She knows everything about them. So when she went in that morning, there were things that stuck out in her mind, like the khaki pants were balled up and on the floor, and they were damp. There was a damp towel.
There had been a shower taken at some point.
Yes.
It had to have been after the murders.
It had to have been, because we saw video of him on the property that day in khakis, and then when he met the slut agents, he had on shorts.
And then she talks about the shirt that he left the house in. It's not the shirt that he had on in the video. And she's never seen that shirt again since. Never seen the shirt again.
Right.
It disappeared.
Poof.
Right.
So did the shoes he had on. Disappeared.
Yeah. But it's just amazing. But I feel so badly. So Alex's mom has Alzheimer's. And there is a lady who, bless her heart, her name is Miss Shelley. She's been on the stand. And she would come in and do the night shift with Mrs. Murdaugh. So she was there from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then she would leave and go and do her cafeteria job until 2 o'clock in the afternoon at a school, and then go home and catch a couple hours of sleep. I mean, this woman's a saint. She was there, and Alec came in that evening while she was there on the 7th and told her, I've been here for 40 minutes. But he had not been there but for 20 minutes. But she had to testify on the stand. And you talk about a woman who was terrified. That woman, you could see her shaking. She cried. I think she's scared to death of this family. Scared to death of, and I would be too, because people tend to just die. But so her daughter has set up a GoFundMe page, because I mean, this was painful for this woman to testify. And it was painful for us to watch, honestly. But she testified about a blue tarp and a raincoat and all this evidence and stuff. But the thing about it is, I think that she didn't want to have to testify against this family, but she has to tell the truth. So her daughter has set up a GoFundMe page, because I mean, obviously the woman's probably out of that job, and she's getting on in age, and I think her daughter just wanted a GoFundMe page to help her mom. So one of the first donors of this GoFundMe page was Mallory Beach's family's attorney. He gave $1,000 as soon as it came up. He gave $1,000. Wow. So this morning, first thing before the jury comes in, the defense comes running in, all breathless. And they call for a mistrial. No, they want this guy to not be able to testify on the stand because he donated to this lady's GoFundMe page. And it looks like he's paying her to be a witness.
Oh,
and the judge wasn't having any of it.
Good.
This judge is so cool and calm and collected. I mean, this guy is not Judge Eno or whatever that guy's name was. He was horrible. Yeah, this guy is like, he knows his stuff. And he just said, Sounds like something to me you could cover in cross-examination when he's on the stand, but he's getting on the stand.
Oh, shit.
But on cross-examination, they didn't even bring it up.
Yeah, because it's a moot point. Like, who cares?
It is not even a point. Who cares?
Yeah.
The lady had already testified.
Right.
So,
right.
So we're having a good old time here in South Carolina watching this trial.
We're all just hanging on the edge of our seats, hoping that Cousin Eddie makes an appearance.
I know. We don't even know if his testimony is allowed because it talks about another issue. I think personally it shows that Alex was desperate for money.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the judge is going to let him come in and see. I mean, poor Cousin Eddie might not make it through the night.
He's in protective custody.
I'm just saying.
I feel real bad.
I don't know.
It is like you couldn't even write this. Like, it's so, as each thing like trickles out, it's like it's beyond.
It is beyond.
If you made a TV show about this, people would say it was unbelievable.
There are TV shows about it.
No, but what I'm saying is if this were a movie, like if somebody, before this whole thing happened, if somebody put a movie out like this, they'd be like, you went too far, it's not believable.
Right.
Out of curiosity, now, I know that in trial they pulled out the tapes or the videos of his voice, that they claim it's his voice on scene. What do you guys think?
It's his voice, and they play it every single day in court. Every witness that gets up there, they play it.
The housekeeper, the friends of Paul's, everybody that's been on the stand, at the end of right before they are done with their testimony, they play that video and say, how many voices do you hear on that video? 3. Who do you hear? Paul, Maggie, Alex.
Oh, shit.
Puts him right there at the crime scene.
Every single one of them. Not one person so far has said, I can't really make it out, or I'm not real sure. All of them has said it's Alex. And I know it's Alex because I've listened to that tape so many times.
What about a voice, like, do you think they'll do like a voice analysis or some sort of like forensic testing?
I mean, this is South Carolina. They had to get a special team in just to do the cell phone stuff because we didn't have the right software to even break into the Apple phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they had to get an FBI agent to do that for us. We now have the software, I understand, in South Carolina, but I dare say anybody knows how to use it.
It's funny because, like, the amount of money that the state has to prosecute him and the amount of money that he has to defend himself.
He has a lot more money than the state does.
Yeah.
But it's not really his money. It's not his.
Right. Yeah, right.
Now, who called him the bomb threat? Who called in the bomb threat?
I think it was Buster. It wasn't Cousin Eddie.
No, somebody on Alex's team. Somebody.
Oh, my God. So let's talk about the bomb threat. So, this is live streaming. So we see everything going on, right? So we see.
I think that happened today, right?
Yesterday.
As of yesterday. Okay.
So that was yesterday, which really upset me because it really cut into our court time. It really did.
It was 2 hours.
Oh, gosh, yeah, on top of lunch.
And we had an event last night. We had to go do a book club with people and talk about our book. And
we were like, we can't leave yet because the court's still in session.
I'm putting my makeup on and get my hair done. You cannot put it on hold, Judge. We
gotta go. So here's the thing. So the judge says, I'm going to send the jury. All of a sudden, it's like, we need to send the jury to the jury room. Send them to the jury room. And then the judge comes on and says, court's in recess. And then he walks away, and then he comes back and says, we're just going to go ahead and take lunch now. Because he's usually, he's right on time. I know exactly what time of day this judge poops.
For sure.
I know when it's a poop break. I know intimately. I am watching. So then he comes on and he says,
folks, we need to evacuate.
We need to evacuate the courthouse. And so Alex.
The camera pans over to the defense table.
Yes. And one of the attorneys whispers something in Alex's ear. And it's like, there's a bomb threat. And the smirk on this man's face is so apparent. The smile that creeps across this man's lips was so diabolical. I was like, oh my God. And this is what the jury doesn't get to see. But he knew that bomb threat was coming. He knew it. And what had been on the schedule, we're so off schedule now with this financial crap, but what had been originally on the docket was Cousin Eddie was supposed to be in the courtroom that day. And I think it was
they needed to buy some time.
I think they were trying to buy some time. They're trying to get to Eddie. Run, Eddie, run.
Oh, Lord, Eddie.
So what do you think the ultimate outcome of the story is going to be? Like, if you had to take a guess, we all watched the Casey Anthony trial and the O.J. Simpson trial, so we never know what the outcome is going to be. But what do you think?
I think that he will not be found guilty of these murders. The good news is that he will be in jail for the rest of his life on the financial crime, so he will still be in jail.
Yeah, I think just before the murders, he was already facing 400 years
some outrageous number of years.
400 years.
You can't even be convicted for that for murder, but you steal people's money.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Isn't that sad? I mean, we talked to these two murderers from our book, and one of them served less than 15 years for murder. But this guy's going to go down 400 years for financial crimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you guys have a death penalty?
Yeah, we do. As a matter of fact, we brought back the firing squad, so you can actually.
It's a baby.
I mean, we don't understand.
All right, I like that for him.
We don't
firing squad.
Oh,
I know. That's kind of crazy, but kind of cool in a way.
It's very psychotic.
That's badass.
It's psychotic. It's totally insane. Yeah.
Oh,
it is insane.
We're not
we were running low on the
injection.
I almost called it fuel injection. We were running low on one of the drugs for the lethal injection. So they, instead of stopping the death penalty, which a lot of states have, we were like, no, we're going to go forward. We'll just shoot them.
Firing squad. I'm not pro or against, but if anybody deserves a firing squad, it's this fucking guy.
Oh,
like for real.
You're not kidding.
This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I'm telling you, it's better than any John Grisham book I've ever read. So that's our murder case, guys. It's unsolved, and we usually don't do unsolved because we promised Mama a long time ago that we would not do unsolved because she thinks all the murderers are going to come get us.
And we purposely stayed away from talking about this murder on our podcast.
Yeah.
Because there is a girl that lives in that community. Her name is Mandy Matney.
All hail the queen.
And she does a podcast called The Murdaugh Murders.
Yes.
And she's the one that's going to tell you the right story. We've added in things that we recall and we remember, but we don't know if it's all 100% true. So if you want the whole story and the truth behind what really is happening, Mandy Matney is who you want to be in touch with.
The best thing
she's been on it since day one, right?
Yes.
So she was on it from day one, and if it weren't for her, this stuff would have never come to light. Mm-mm. It would have never been on the world circuit the way that it is now. And she has done and continues to do a phenomenal job with this. So that's why we don't touch this on our podcast, because I could never even be held in the same room with, I'm not worthy.
No, you're not.
I'm not worthy. She's just been phenomenal. She has befriended and done so much for the victims in this community, including the mother of Stephen Smith, who was a boy that died under very suspicious circumstances, which the outcome of that was heavily influenced by the Murdaughs. So that's another murder.
That's the one that they think Buster might have his toe in.
Yeah, they think Buster was involved in that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That I knew that there was another whole other situation that he was weirdly related to, and it was a little suspicious.
Twists and turns.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. They just keep digging up bodies left and right on these people.
I mean, when this stuff started coming out, it started off with the Mallory Beach case, and then stuff started coming out left and right. It's like every day there was something else on the news. We were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is happening?
and even if it was just the Mallory Beach thing and the accident on the boat, if he would have just been like, hey man, I was drunk, I made a mistake, sue my insurance, sue the home, whatever, sue all these people.
He would have gone to jail for involuntary manslaughter and stuff.
Max 10 fucking years.
But they don't want to do a day.
But that's what I'm saying. It didn't have to, you went so hard on trying to get out of everything that you could have just owned up for the thing that you did, and your dad wouldn't have had to kill you and his mother.
But when you've been getting away with murder
that's true,
for years.
But the other part of it is the financial crimes would have never come to light.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right, none of that. If his dad, when that shit started to, come up, I'd be like, nah, bro, you're going to jail. Sorry, this was on you.
Sorry,
the whole ship ain't sinking here. You know what I mean? But you just we're so hung on to getting yourself off and being above the law and
that's the
throwing
problem.
Your money around.
They're just so entitled. They're so entitled and so privileged. And the corruption is just runs so deep. It really is quite disturbing. I feel bad for anybody that lives in that town that has lived under that. And it's like they have their own mob. It's
scary.
Yeah, it really is scary. It is very scary. So, but I will tell you one of the wonderful things that Mandy Matten, just to point out what a great person she is. So Stephen Smith, who was the boy that was killed by hit and run, which was not a hit and run, but his mom had never been able to afford a headstone for him. And Mandy was able to go out and get enough funding for her to get a headstone for her son, which I thought was really, that's the kind of person Mandy is. She's not in it for fame or fortune. She's in it for truth and justice and the American fucking way.
And we don't know Mandy. We've never met her.
No, but if she wanted,
she wouldn't speak to us
no,
she knew us. But
no.
We still like to give her credit because we feel like she's done a really good job. And we couldn't do the things that she's done.
We are not Mandy.
We're not Mandy. We might get a shirt.
Oh my God.
We might get a shirt that says
bumper sticker, we're not Mandy.
That was incredible. We have some people in our Facebook group that post about this sporadically, and everybody in the true crime community is sort of following this. So it was nice to have a whole look at it from
somebody who's there.
Yeah, paying attention to it, because that's fantastic.
Oh, we're obsessed. It is not paying attention. We are immersed.
I see.
I go through withdrawals when this case is over. I'm telling you, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I have to go back to watching General Hospital.
I'm not watching General Hospital.
What?
No. After Jason Morgan left, what am I going to watch for?
Unfortunately, there will be another crime that you'll get to.
I know. Well, maybe we'll get some writing done on our book.
Yeah, there you go.
Right there, that's
right now.
Well, so definitely check out their book.
Yeah, where can we find your book, and give us some information where they can find you and get some of your stuff.
Okay, so our book is on Amazon and it's on Barnes & Noble online. But if you are a Barnes & Noble patron, then you can walk into the Barnes & Noble. They can bring it up in their system and order it and get it into the store for you to pick up if that's the way you prefer to do it. And the book is called Click, Click, Click. It's hard for me to get that out with the bourbon. But we make our own vanilla. It's called Killa Vanilla. And you can email us because we have email. Our email is murder@sugarcoat.
No, it's murder.
Yeah, shoot, I get it messed up every time.
It's murder.sugarcoated@gmail.com.
Our podcast is called Sugar Coated Murder, and we're on, I don't know, all the we're in all the places. I don't know. We're wherever you listen to your podcast, we're there.
Perfect.
Awesome. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
And the book, definitely.
Definitely the book, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited for that. So that's it for us, and we'll see you next week. But in the meantime, subscribe so you don't miss out. We have merch, we have Patreon, we have Buy Me a Coffee, we have all the good stuff. You can write a review, share this podcast with somebody, or you can connect with us on all of the socials everywhere. Check you out next week, and remember, do not get taken to that second location. Be good at hiding the body. Cheers.
Cheers. When we recorded this episode a couple of weeks ago, the court case had not
been finalized.
Right. So yesterday, a verdict came in on the Alex Murdaugh case, and sentencing was today. So we wanted to just give you a little update and talk about it. And this will be on Patreon as well. But we thought we wanted to address it since we're putting out an episode about this.
Yes.
So what happened? Tell us.
So basically, he was found guilty.
Who didn't know that?
Yeah, obviously.
Well, there are some things where people thought maybe it would have been not guilty due to reasonable doubt. The two-shooter idea, all of that stuff.
Right.
There were a lot of things that don't normally happen in cases. Usually they discourage the defendant to
come up on and defend themselves, right?
Yeah.
right
To testify.
which he testified.
Right. I was very shocked that he testified.
He testified, and not only that, but the judge agreed to let the jury go out and visit the crime scene.
For what?
Oh, shit.
For what, though? Like, what's the point?
This was actually a request from the defendant's side. They figured that if they saw the distance from where the shooting was, from where he was heard on the video, all of that stuff,
Right.
he wouldn't be, they would see, he
That
couldn't
doesn't
have
make
gotten,
sense, yeah.
it's too
Right.
far, it's all of this.
It would have put reasonable doubt.
That's what I was thinking. And that's what they were leaning towards, probably,
Yeah.
is reasonable doubt.
Right. It was probably a shot in the dark because at that point they probably knew they were dead in the
Yeah, I
water.
mean, he was fucking dead to rights.
Yeah,
like Jesus Christ, anybody listen to this.
Exactly.
for 2
So that was
seconds.
probably like a Hail Mary pass right there.
Right. And the fact that the judge agreed to it, they were like, sure.
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
judge
why
was
not?
probably
What else
like,
they got
yeah.
to do? They're the
Yeah,
richest
let's
family.
take a
in-
fucking field trip.
Yeah.
And he was sentenced, but he was still found guilty.
Yeah.
He was sentenced for 2 life sentences for both of the murders.
After 3 hours of
After
deliberate-
3 hours.
Also, let's
that
talk
was
about
so
those fucking
quick.
kennels, man.
Yeah.
Those were some. What I had imagined the kennels to be like, maybe like a 2 little things with 2 dogs. Those were fucking kennels.
Obviously.
No, like it was like crate, like not crate, like what you would see like a fucking race,
Cage,
like
yeah,
those.
like horses.
No, not horses, but like the greyhounds. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they were like fucking professional shit. I was like,
Really?
oh, these people were fucking rich.
Yeah, no, these motherfuckers were rich.
Yeah.
When he testified, he admitted that it was him on the video. So he admitted that he lied about not being there. So he was there when they were killed. So that was another thing. It was just like,
yeah.
because the video versus,
Right.
all of that, it was just, the timeline wasn't matching what he was saying initially.
Bro, imagine your desperation. You shoot your own son, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh,
That's he's yeah, that's so crazy.
his son was a dick. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, but so what is the theory, in the end that he wanted to shoot the son, the wife got in the middle? Like, why did she have to die?
Well, remember, they were shot with different weapons. So we don't know what happened. He probably had that all prepared in the sense of he must have had 2 weapons with him.
That's so
Because
crazy.
they weren't killed that far apart from each other.
Yeah.
So I'm sure more is going to come out.
I thought
now
the theory
that
was that she ran. Like she saw Paul, she saw him kill Paul and she ran for her life. But maybe he did plan it to seem like
It was
2
2
different
shooters.
people because,
Yeah.
that's why else would you bring out 2 guns,
Yeah.
But it seemed like she ran for her life and, and he got her.
because I believe she was shot in the back. There was so much going on.
I mean, literally everyone that's listening to this knows the full details. 'Cause
Right,
people
yeah,
are
I mean,
obsessed
so
with
much.
this case.
You
So
know
much
better than we do.
going on.
My boss, who is listening, is also obsessed with this case. Like, as soon as I walked in this morning, she's like, "Girl, did you hear?" I'm like, she sent me an article from the Washington Post. Basically, what the article is saying, we just skim. I had skimmed through it before, but just to reiterate what the article was saying was that the grandfather, the original Randolph Murdaugh,
Right.
that is a mouthful, by the way.
Yeah. Because some people say Murdaugh.
Yeah.
Some people say Murdoch.
Yeah. He was killed by a train. And then, so the son inherited his job.
Right.
Hit all the money.
Right.
And then they sued the train company.
So it was the gift that kept on giving.
Yeah. And then the law firm continued to sue the train company for years and years and years. So,
Right.
and they gained $19 million for themselves and their clients over the years suing the same train company. So it's like, it's just this deep-seated family, old money, whatever. It's very crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But also, so going back to Alex's family, the housekeeper that died on their house, they're going to exhume the body.
Yeah.
Or they're considering exhuming the body.
I mean, do they even need to? Like, what? We know what happened to her, right?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, everybody wants justice, you know, for their loved one.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, it's at the cost of the citizens.
Family, I was going to say, do his family
I mean,
do her family want them?
Well,
Probably.
he stole the money.
Yeah.
that
Right, I
she
know
was
that.
supposed to
yeah.
So there's a thing in the legal world. Like, if a lawyer steals your money, right? All lawyers have to pay these fees, this money, this big bank, right?
Okay.
And if
Like a malpractice thing?
yes, so if a lawyer steals your money and they find out, then you get that money. It just comes out of this like lawyer fee, and that's probably what he was. You know, that's what he was probably trying to like fix. You know, by killing his son, because like that
Right.
was all going to come out with him stealing the money from the housekeeper's kids and this person's kid, like all of this
Right.
financial dealings, whatever. But like the family should get that money regardless whether. You know, there's safety nets for that, is my point.
And see, and I was listening to the news, and they're just saying, last thing I heard
Yeah.
them say when it came to the financial thing is, when it comes to financials, the money's gone. The money is
oh, maybe that's just New
gone.
Jersey then. That's not that's not what happens in New Jersey. The only reason I know that is because I know someone that it happened to. Maybe that just happens in New Jersey, but maybe in the New Jersey bar, I guess it's different. Maybe it's different in every state. I don't know. But maybe it's different in South Carolina or whatever. But
Who knows?
But that's unfortunate then. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Oh, I would want her body exhumed at that point. But like,
Yeah.
But also,
can I sue?
here's the thing. If she didn't die for whatever they said she died,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
then
at this
that point, are they going to have to pay the insurance back? Because even if the money
know they'll
was
get their
taken
money.
by Alex, then the insurance money was taken by Alex, and he never gave the money to the family. If the family had gotten the money, then would the
The way I
family
would
have
have
had to
been
pay
buried that
back?
money in cash in the backyard and been like, what money? Ain't no money here. I spent that shit. That feels like y'all's problem.
Feels like a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
that housekeeper
And they didn't even get the
thing
fucking
what
money.
had to do, aren't they considering that it was probably something
suspicious, yeah.
with the older son? Because the older son was the one that was present for that death.
To me, that like I didn't watch all of the documentaries, just the one that we did for Patreon or whatever.
Right.
I know the Netflix one is really good. Everybody's really
Yeah.
talking about, but like to me, I remember when we discussed it, like it felt like to me that they were like, "Oh, let's like the family or the dad or the mom, whoever, like let's kill this woman, make it seem like she died on our property accidentally, and then sue the homeowner's insurance. Like let's kick her down the stairs because she fell or something."
yeah, but
right?
she was alive for a few days.
She was.
Right.
In a
but
coma. Yeah.
but the point is that they were able to sue the homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
And he like, you know, hobnobbed the family like, I'll deal with it for you. You'll get all the
Yeah.
money and blah blah blah. And like to me, that whole thing felt like scam. Like they killed her, they tricked the family because they didn't
Right.
know any better and took the money.
Yeah.
That's just what it felt like.
And
know?
then he did that to multiple people.
So gross, bro.
He did that with multiple people.
Well, good riddance to him.
I'm hoping he's having fun in jail. Anywho,
He's not.
I was being sarcastic.
He's not. Yeah. That's that, folks.
Yeah.
Peace out, homies.
Peace out.
Are you okay? Jesus Christ. You're so fucking loud. You're disgusting and I hate you both. Oh god. I'm crying. Oh my god. And holding my peach and I almost fucking beat myself.
And how are you doing?
I feel like I'm good.
Okay.
Is that better? I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. It's hard. She's very crisp and clear, but you seem like underwater for some reason. It's weird.
You know what? We used to have that problem with Dana, and we had to have Dana do something with her mics too.
Yeah.
On her
See,
laptop.
I think that you need to go back to voice lessons.
Shut up.
Some voice training because she had some issues with her voice for a while, for like a year.
For 3 years, I had a colonoscopy.
She did.
And when I came out of it, I had no voice.
What?
At all.
Did she say she had a colonoscopy?
Wait, I was like,
When I was having my colonoscopy, they overinflated something that caused a gag reflex. And it was the beginning of COVID, so they had my mask that I wore from home on me in the room where they were performing the procedure, and didn't realize that I had vomited.
Oh.
So I aspirated that down my throat, and it burned everything all the way down. So for a month, I had no voice, and then it finally started coming back. It was so frustrating. And then for a couple of years after, my voice has been very scratchy. And from the trauma of whatever happened during the colonoscopy episode, my muscles in my throat overcompensated, and it causes my voice to be hoarse. But I can go to voice therapy.
I'm going to have to tell my wife about this.
They can try and retrain me to do it. And if I do some exercises, it helps a lot. But I don't think it helps me with volume.
I think it does more than you think.
She just wants me to spend more money, and I don't feel like I'm going to YouTube video until it's better.
Did you sue?
No.
This guy's really good looking.
He's so handsome.
That it's like he's such a god that you just can't sue him. And
That was gross negligence. You could have died.
For real?
They should at the very least be paying for your voice therapy. My wife is actually a speech pathologist, and so that's one of the people that you would probably see for that kind of therapy.
Yes, they were sending me to a speech pathologist. Yes,
Yeah.
she probably knows all about it.
Wow.
maybe she can send you some videos of what to do. Could she do some free videos of what to do?
Fine, it's fine.
Wow.
That is so crazy.
I hope he at least bought you dinner.
No, I did get a hug from him.
I got several of those.
You know, it's the little things.
Wow.
I mean, I can't tell you how handsome this man is.
He's so
Like,
good
he
looking.
looks like somebody that would be on Grey's Anatomy.
Very hot.
So hot.
And you just don't sue hot doctors.
No.
He strangled me, but I survived. Wow.
Well, nobody's mad at a good strangling.
Dana loves to be choked.